that, for today's lecture. So today is a very it's a very video intense lecture. I hope that my system is going to hold up. We've got some very high winds here today, which always seem to affect my internet connection. I don't know why, because it's Wi-Fi. Maybe it's a tower in the area, whatever. But, I'm going to try, but it's very video heavy. It's very, very interesting. Today's lecture is all about culture at Google. So we've looked at culture at the BBC and BBC Online. We looked at culture of Netflix, which we did last week, which is very interesting. We've looked at the culture of, excuse me, Pixar and a little bit of Disney, which is linked to Pixar. And so those are the things. And so today we're going to be looking at Google. And one of the big things of Google is they really go out of their way to, what is the word I'm looking for? Spoil their staff. So they obviously want to try and get, because guys, the two biggest headaches for any business and the two biggest costs to company, although as I said to you guys last week, I hate that phrase in HR when they refer to you as a cost to company. I'm an asset to company, and that's the way HR should be viewed. But anyway, that having been said, the two biggest outliers in terms of capital, for a business are space, so office space or retail space or property space. That's why it's good to, own the building. I think in the case of Boston, they do own the building where they're in, which is cool. So that obviously means they don't have to pay rental, but there's still maintenance costs on a building, which is a big expense. And a lot of companies don't like to. There were some companies, for example, I think Sanlam, their new head office, they owned their building. I did some articles on this. They own their building in Joburg, in Sandton, or they actually think they were in Cape Town, and they built another office space in Joburg that they rented. They didn't actually buy it. I think the same thing with Discovery. They've got that huge, massive ship-like building there, sort of on the corner where that old Holiday Inn used to be, sort of diagonally opposite Sandton City, next to the American consulates, the Joburg consulates of the American embassy. I think they also rent that out of there because they didn't want the hassle and the headache of having to procure, space and then, having to maintain it. That's all done for them. They just pay a rental. And if there's a broken water tap or a leaky pipe, they just contact their landlord and say, please fix this for us. And because they want to try and keep the company happy, because if you've got a Discovery as your client, or if you've got a Sasol as your client, that's a huge feather in your cap, and they're paying you a lot of money to stay in your building. So that's the one big expense, is obviously office space. The other big expense is an expense in inverted commas is staff. Okay, so to pay staff salaries, that is a huge expense, but also to retain staff, to find good staff and to retain good staff is really, really difficult, so because people are always looking for, and these days, okay, so now if you have a look, so you have, okay, most of the baby boomers have retired. You have Generation X who still at work. A lot of millennials who are now going into middle age, the early millennials, excuse me, are going into middle age. So they constitute a lot of the workforce. And if you go and have a look at millennials and what they like and what they don't like, what they do, it's not always about the money. The money's important. Obviously, that's very important. But it's also about the benefits and the perks and, the flexibility and the remote work and, those kind of things. So Google is really focused on that and paid a lot of attention to that. And what they've said is, okay, how can we, create a space where we are going to keep people happy. So food and, bean bags and, foosball and, pool and, sort of cubicles where you can chat or sort of open plan. And how does that affect the culture of the organization? And that in turn, how does that affect the outputs of the organization? How does that then affect them as a medium? So one of the questions I have asked you, and you'll see at the end of the thing today, is Google media? And I wanted to debate that with you guys and ask you guys if you feel that Google is media. Okay, so let me open the notes, and then I need to go and just show you just an overview again, guys, of the S1, so we're all on the same page, just to remind you of what we need to do. So that's important. So just give me a sec, please. Air, let me ask you guys a question. Well, let me ask you the question now. Okay, so for those of you here, let me ask you a question. So Beverly, Lindiwe, and Dennis, and Vuyo, and Onalena, and Michelle, and Notando, let's get a class discussion going if we can. Do you guys think that Google is media? And how would you use Google in an integrated media management strategy for your upcoming S1? Okay, so you don't have to tell me which thing you're going to be doing, but let's say, for example, and maybe you're not going to use Google, maybe you are. So how would you guys use Google? And if you don't want to share about your, your S1, then share with me anything about any brand, maybe a brand that you work for, brand that you've had contact with, a brand that you like, maybe review your F3. So how do you think Google is a medium? Let's start with that. Is Google media? What do you guys think? Anybody? What do you guys think? Do you think Google's media? Anyone? Notando, you're usually quite vocal. Onalena? Michelle, you're usually quite vocal. Dennis, you did your presentation. Lindiwe? SRC? Okay, Notando, you say you think yes. Okay, great. Thanks. Why do you think so? Why do you think Google is a medium? Thank you for sharing.
Hello. Can you hear me right?
Hi? I can. Thank you, Notando.
Okay. I said yes because media, I guess by definition, has something to do with mass communication.
Cool.
And I guess if you are looking at your definition of communication, there's
Okay.
information involved in communication.
Cool.
So when you mean Google, are you talking about the search engine or are you talking about the company as a whole?
What do you think? I have my opinions, but I wasn't being specific because I wanted to hear what you think. That's why I didn't specify. I want to hear what you think.
Okay. All right. I mean, I guess for both, either way, the search engine and the company as a whole, I would say yes, but more strongly on the organization as a whole because they have different, I guess, products that they offer that are under Google. I believe YouTube is under Google. I might be mistaken.
Correct? Yes, you're
Um,
right.
and a whole bunch of other media platforms that are under Google. So yeah, communication, mass communication, information would fall under media for me, which means Google, yes, is a medium.
Awesome. Thank you, Notando. I appreciate that. Beverly Lindiwe, you had your hand up. Beverly, please unmute yourself and speak. Notando, I'm going to come back to you. I want to ask you a follow-up question, but I'd like to hear what Beverly says. Lindiwe, Beverly, you have your hand up. Do you want to answer?
Hi, Rob. Can you hear me?
I can. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you.
Like I typed out in the message box, Google isn't, I mean, for me personally, it's not considered a media in a traditional sense, mainly because Google is a technology company that operates as a search engine, well, amongst other services and products. And while it plays a significant role in the dissemination of information and content on the internet, it is not necessarily a creator of content or a distributor of like news or entertainment, like traditional media outlets such as newspapers, television stations, or online websites. I mean, in essence, the primary function of Google is to index and organize information available on the web to provide us users with search results and access to various resources. But based on that, I don't think it would fall under it being considered media. For me, that is.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your contribution. I appreciate that. I'm just going to lower your hand. Give me a sec. Cool. Thank you so much, Beverly Lindy. We appreciate that. Okay. That's why I asked the question, because it's a very, very, very interesting one. And the thing is, you are right. It is both not a medium and yet it is a medium. And this is the problem, guys, that we find these days with integrations. Okay, so Michelle says it's not media because they are primarily a tech company. I'm going to quickly see the chat. Let me open the chat so I can see what Michelle said. Thank you for your contributions, guys. That's awesome. I like a nice contributive class. Michelle said it's not media because they're primarily a tech company that focuses mainly on tech advancement in terms of them being a search engine. Okay, that's true. Okay, all of that is true. All of you guys are right. That's the problem with media today, guys. It's such a mishmash. It's such, and remember, let me remind you of some theory here very briefly. Okay, so in the old days, you had above the line and below the line. And believe it or not, that had to do with the way that the bill was folded in the paper, from what I understand. Okay, so above the line was always known as advertising, and below the line was always known as PR and publicity, or whatever it is. And it was mostly used, remember, in those days, a lot of the media that you did was newspaper or print. There was also TV and there was also radio. Okay, but that's where the terminology came from, as I understand it. Okay, and from what I can ascertain, and from what I recall, from my undergrad studies many moons ago, is that when they build you, the advertising stuff would be above. They would put a line down the middle of the invoice, and everything above that line would be your advertising billing, and everything below that line would be your publicity and your PR billing. Okay, so and then possibly also like your promotions. But remember, the whole idea of a flash mob or a brand activation, as we call them these days, these are not things that happened. They did happen. I mean, you had fairs and you had, so for example, if we go back to 1950s marketing and media, when sort of Elvis was first started. So one could argue that when Elvis went on a tour and went and performed, that was a sales promotion. Okay, because he was there promoting himself and then obviously selling records and LPs at the time, and that kind of thing. So and likewise, all sorts of other the big fairs and whatever it is. So but these days, then they said, okay, we are no longer going to call it above or below the line, we're going to call it through the line. Okay, so now it's and today what we say is there is no line. You can't. That's why I laugh when I see companies who are advertising for people and they say, oh, we need an ATL, BTL specialist above the line, below the line. Like, those don't even exist anymore. So how archaic and sort of antiquated is your it's your HR thing that you are still advertising for those kinds of positions, because there is no. So this is the problem that we have, because Google is not a medium, it's a search engine, but it is a medium because, as Nothando said, you have YouTube and that kind of thing. But if you have a look even at the search engine function, okay, so how does Google make their money? Because technically speaking, I was actually looking at a book the other day where the guy actually thanked Google and said, hey, Google, thanks so much that searches are free. Because if you think about it, we process thousands and thousands of pieces of information every year ourselves, probably tens of thousands of pieces of information, and there are literally probably trillions of pieces of information that are processed every year around the world by Google, who doesn't charge us for it. Okay, so how do they make their money? They do adverts along the sides of the search engine. They have sponsored things at the top, which are not organic. And when clients will say to me, so should we do Google AdWords or that kind of thing? I say, look, it helps. But a lot of the times these days, when I go do searches on Google, I ignore those top sponsored content. I go look for the first organic, a search engine finds that I usually click on those first. I might go back to some of the sponsored content later, but I'm first looking for the ones that haven't been punted by Google because somebody paid them. So guys, if you consider that over there, that is a form of advertising, because let's go back to the definition of communication that Nothando so very nicely put out and explained to us earlier on. Okay, so you have the communications model. Okay, so the communications model is sender to receiver through a medium with feedback back to the sender these days, or back to the sender these days. Okay, and then there's noise in the channel, and there's you know, the message and so on and so forth. But the thing is, it goes through a medium. So it's just not done the way it used to be. So we all still have, because of the textbooks and because of the way we grew up and because of the way it's presented and so on and so forth, we still have this perception that media is very passive, that we'll sit there and watch TV or we watch YouTube and then an advert will flash on and we are the passive observers. But in the case of Google search engine, you are actively typing in and searching for, you know, Google Scholar, interesting source on, you know, on integrated marketing communications for pain in the butt, Rob, because he wants us to have, you know, sources. And then you click on there and then it'll give you stuff over there. And they are, so that is active. You can see in the background, you're still getting fed advertising. When you log into a Gmail account, it's still got adverts. And what they'll do is they'll put adverts that are linked to the searches that you have done. I mean, I've often seen, like the other day, I was looking for believe it or not, a chocolate mold or an ice mold on Takealot. So I looked for and found one and then bought it. You know, not that I'm much into, you know, I don't cook much, but anyway, but you know, it was for the house. And then what happened was now I just see whenever I log on to YouTube, I get Takealot adverts, and there'll be, you know, crockery and cutlery, which, you know, we don't need, and, you know, I wouldn't want to buy anyway. But it's also, and it's all linked to what I searched for in the Google search engine. So in that respect, Google is very much also a medium. So it is not, but it also is. And remember, how does Google make their money? As I was saying to you earlier on, Google makes their money because they are publicly listed on the stock exchange under Alphabet. I even have some Google shares. I bought some Google shares. Okay, and they usually do quite well. They sort of just increase a little bit, you know, all the time, which is cool. And then also what they do is they make money from advertising. And you know, also I have looked into Google advertising lately. It's very expensive to use, but you can use it and it can be quite effective. Okay, so I actually think it's cheaper to advertise using putting adverts or promoting your channel on YouTube, you know, and using Google AdWords for that kind of thing. Okay, but now Nothando, I wanted to ask you a question. Okay, if I am speaking to you direct, okay, if I was with you in person or anyone, but you raised an interesting question. You said, obviously, you know, it goes through a channel and a medium. If I was speaking to you in person, okay, so you and I were having a conversation, you know, I was in Joburg and you were in class, and we were having a cup of coffee, etc. Okay, and you were chatting, would it still be communication? And what is the medium? If I'm talking to you directly in person, face to face, what is the medium? What would you say?
Okay, sorry, I was just trying to think of, so you're asking if we were talking face to face, having a verbal conversation.
Yes.
I actually don't know how to answer that question here, because okay, how do you define medium? Because I think the definition of the words we're using is important as well. Because you could say, for example, media is the channels that we use for mass communication, whatever. But media is also the plural of medium, which is just the way of communication. So if you're talking in terms of communication, like the subject communication, they tell us that, you know, individual participators of an interaction, the medium of communication is nonverbal, the medium is body language, or it's verbal, or whatever the case may be. So I guess in that respect, if we were having a conversation, the medium would be verbal communication. I don't know.
Well done, absolutely. And I wanted you to think about that because absolutely. So remember, in the old days, you are right. Okay, so guys, remember in the old days, let's think back to the beginning, and that's why I always say to you, think Maslow, okay, and think marketing at its very essence. And I know you say, oh, Rob, marketing, brand marketing. Yes, I'm not saying that because this is a marketing class. I'm not saying this is a branding class. This is a media class. Okay, but remember, media is a vehicle for marketing and for branding. What is marketing at the end of the day. It's creating a product, service, or idea that people want or need and telling them that you have it. Okay, so think now back to the caveman era. Okay, so what did people need? They needed somewhere to live. So a lot of them lived in caves, obviously, because we all need shelter. Okay, they needed not to die or be killed by animals, so they would tend to go where there weren't going to be animals. That's why, obviously, when we discovered fire and we knew that animals were afraid, we would use fire to protect ourselves. Okay, back in those days, we all needed food. So we would either have to go and hunt a gatherer. So we would either have to go gather, you go pick the berries off the things and try a mushroom. And unfortunately, it was horrible trial and error. So somebody ate a mushroom and died because it poisoned them, or somebody ate a mushroom and started hallucinating, and somebody ate a mushroom and said, okay, this is edible. I mean, how did we know what we could eat today? How do you know apples are healthy for us? This is all stuff that was discovered by trial and error. Thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of our ancestors died so we could discover what works, what doesn't. Even medicine, it's horrible. It's a terrible thing. I mean, how do we know that, this is what happens with a heart attack? How do you know this is what happens with cancer? Because what happened was these people passed away, and then we went and dissected them and cut them open and said, okay, this is what the body looks like after. That's how we know. How do we know so much about radiation? You know me and my whole Chernobyl thing. How do we know so much about radiation? Because we saw the after effects of radiation from the American nuclear attacks on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That's how we know what radiation does to the human body. So it's the same thing as well. Think back again to the cave people. What was the need? We needed to be sheltered. So maybe what you would do is you would speak to some other people if there was enough space in the cave and say, hey, we found a cave, come with us and come stay in the cave. And they'd say, okay, cool. Or they'd say, okay, how do we then, and if you go and study, the history of, very interesting, the history of cities, the history of market economies and how people then start specializing. It's very too broad for today's subject, but very, very, very interesting. And wanted to bring it back to what you're saying, Nothando. So the thing is, okay, then if you were over distance and time, okay, and this is the big thing, time has shrunk, space has also shrunk, but not actually shrunk. So if you were over distance, okay, you now said, look, there are too many people staying in this cave, we need to go find another cave. So then people would start to migrate, they would move and they'd go elsewhere. Okay, but there was a concerned mother who, okay, was concerned about her son because her son and his partner decided they were going to go look for a new cave elsewhere with their kids. And she said, okay, and he said, okay, we're going to go over the ridge over there, Mom, okay, and then what I'm going to do is I will send you smoke signals. Okay, so I will light a fire and I will fan the fire and you will see smoke signals, then you'll know that we're okay. And then you'll know, and then what I'll do is I'll come back in a couple of days and I'll come and say hello and you'll know that we're fine. Otherwise, I won't come back because it's too dangerous. Just know that we're fine, okay? And that's how you would, and that was like the first form of communication over a period of, over distance, because you weren't close enough to each other, okay, to communicate face to face, and you weren't close enough to each other. And then, of course, today, basically, and then think about, as I said to you guys previously, let's say you were in a penal colony in Australia. So you were a petty thief, okay, you were starving to death on the streets of London. You were 18 years old and you were hungry, so you ran into a bakery and you stole a loaf of bread. Okay, and you got arrested and you got prosecuted, and they said, now we're going to send you to an Australian penal colony. So we're going to send you to Sydney, and you're going to live in Sydney. Okay, so Sydney is 18,000 kilometers away by air from London. I think 14,000. It's like 18 hours. It's far. It's 10,000 miles. Okay, so it's really, 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 really far away. And you would travel by ship, okay, which would take you, I don't know, 3 months, whatever. I don't know how long it took, but it was a long time. Okay, and then they'd say, okay, you can write letters. We'll allow you to write letters. Write a letter. We'll put it on the ship and send it back to your family. So you write a letter to your mom. Dear Mom, I've landed in the penal colony. Life is tough here, but at least I have a roof over my head and food in my stomach. Okay, they work us like slaves, and then that letter would go on the ship back to London. Okay, and it would take, so you probably hear from each other maybe in a year if you were lucky. Okay, today I can WhatsApp my friend in Sydney, and except for the time difference, she could WhatsApp me straight away back. That's it. So the time has shrunk, the distance hasn't. But getting back to what you were saying, Nothando, so the medium is definitely also your face-to-face. The medium is also, for those who studied sound, is air. The medium is air. So when I speak, my sound waves are carried on molecules of air, because that's what happens, the disturbance of the air, and travels then from my mouth into your ear. And so the medium there, so we've had to obviously broaden that definition of medium, because we had to take into account medium over periods of time and space. Okay, so in the old days, when you sent the letter, the medium would be the letter. Okay, in the old days, the medium would be the smoke signal. So the smoke would be the medium, and then of course the message would be however you interpret the smoke signal. Today, okay, we as the medium, we're all speaking to each other on computers. So it's both a medium and not a medium. But you can see it raises very interesting questions. And maybe because I've just done a bit of philosophical stuff, philosophy about, you know, existence, and how do we know this chair exists, and how do we know we exist, and, you know, and what's his name, Aristotle de Anima, or Plato, you know, and Socrates, all of which is really old. And I'm like, oh, it's so frustrating. But they really seriously ask you questions about, you know, your existence and that kind of thing. So it brings in interesting things. But I wanted you guys to think about, take it back to the very beginning, take it back to the essence. What is the medium? So if Notando and I, or Michelle and I, or Beverly and I, or Chris and I, or Onlena and I were talking online to each other face to face, then the medium would be the air molecules. In this case over here, we're using electronic devices to communicate with each other. So that's the medium. So cool. I love the class discussion. It's one of the best class discussions we've had so far this year. Thank you for your participation. Yay, we actually had 3 people who contributed. That was awesome. Okay, so guys, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Okay, keep all of that with you as we go through the Google case study. What I would like to do first, though, is I would like to just quickly just rebrief the beginning of the S1 for you guys, and this will be the last time that we do it, just so that you guys know what you're going, because at this point in time, you're probably in the thick of things with your research assignments, you know, obviously your presentation that Chris discussed with you earlier on. So not your presentation, your actual dissertation, mini dissertation that you have to submit. And then you're also busy with the S1. So just to remind you guys of what you need to please get done and please have ready for your presentations, which are going to be taking place. And then obviously Chris and I will discuss with you when that's going to be presented, but obviously they need to be submitted on Cole Campus, not next week, but the week after. Okay, so guys, it's crunch time. If you haven't started, I beg you, please start today. Do a little bit every day. You know, that you'll be amazed at how much you can do if you just do a little bit every day. Okay, so I'm going to brief it for you again. I'm going to share screen with you guys. Okay, and then we're going to brief it again, but we're not going to spend too much time. I'm going to come back to the Google case study, but I want you to please bear in mind everything we've discussed today, because remember, what you're putting together when you're doing your S1, okay, is an integrated media management strategy. So you need to ask yourself a question, okay? And I'm going to ask you guys again. Well, let me not ask you another question. I was going to ask you another question because it was a really great class discussion. Let me put the question in your mind, you can answer it later. Do we have media involved? If we are doing, if I walk into Benmore, there by you guys, and I see the little Virgin Active display, and the guy says to me, hello, sir, you know, you're very out of shape. Would you like to have a gym contract? And I say, oh no, young man, I'm too old for gym, or because I'm just joking, you know, but the gym contract is wasted on me. Okay, and he's got a Virgin Active, you know, display on the go, and that is a promotion. Okay, and it's also a sales promotion. It's also personal sales going to try and sell me up. What media are involved in that sales promotion? I want you guys to think about that. Okay, so that's important to consider. Okay, let me see. Oh, crumbs, why can't I? Oh, hang on. That's weird. Okay, why isn't it allowing me? Okay, let me see here. Window. Yeah, okay. Okay, so guys, you should now be able to see the brief. Okay, so you can see there, just to let you guys know, between Monday the 12th and Friday the 17th of November, those dates are incorrect. That's Monday the 10th to Friday the 16th, I think. Okay, because Monday's the 10th, as far as I know. Anyway, it's something over there. Okay, so just guys, just be aware of that, but that's fine. Okay, the brief scope. For this assessment, you must choose a brand that you see is struggling and needs marketing help. According to Lang, The following companies have experienced significant challenges that either have damaged reputations and or have affected profitability. Okay, so guys, a lot of these ones are not relevant to South Africa. That doesn't mean you can't do them. If you want to do them, I know there was a student, one of the students who did electronic arts and there was a student who did Netflix. Okay, but you can see some of the ones. Twitter we've spoken about in class, Netflix we've spoken about in class, LinkedIn we've spoken about not that much in class, Facebook. Okay, and you can see there's also Lyft, Everlywell, Peloton, Games, and Electronic Arts. Okay. So guys, choose one of those with a damaged reputation or affected profitability. And then please have a look over here. This is really important. For this assessment, you must choose one of the brands listed here and create an integrated media management strategy that you believe would help the business. The strategy must involve the 5 elements of the marketing communications mix: advertising / PR publicity / personal sales / sales promotion / direct marketing. Okay, what we're going to do next week for our last class is we're going to go through the marketing communications mix again and discuss some variations on it. So we're going to go through elements of the marketing communications mix just to remind you guys of that and discuss some variations, because as you guys know from your studies, some textbooks refer to sponsorships and, you know, donations and how those elements of marketing communications mix. I personally believe, because this is based on Kotler, Philip Kotler, who is probably the preeminent marketing professor in the world, I would say, he split it up into 5 elements. That's why we use 5 elements here, because I think that all the other elements can fold neatly and seamlessly into one of these 5 elements over here. So to keep it simple, that's what we do. Okay, we just use the 5 elements. You could argue that there are more. Okay, but I don't necessarily always think that that is the case. Okay, so let's have a look over here. All right. So guys, you should all be able to see the screen. If you can't, please let me know, but you should all be able to see my PowerPoint, not PowerPoint, the what's it called? The Word document with the S1 that we're going through. Okay, so for this assessment, you must choose one of the brands. You must do the integrated marketing communications mix. Put your strategy into a PowerPoint presentation. Guys, I love the Canva. If you also, I don't mind PowerPoint. PowerPoint's fantastic. I always use PowerPoint for my presentations when I submit study stuff. But if you want to use Canva, Canva was fabulous. Some of you guys have beautiful Canva presentations. So if you want to use Canva, you can, the free version. PowerPoint's also fine, but don't limit yourself to PowerPoint. I know I also said Prezi. Prezi was something that students used to use. I don't know if they still use it, but Canva is lovely. So either jazz up your PowerPoints or jazz up your Canva, but they were very beautiful. They really looked very pretty. I was sitting there, you know, enjoying the presentations very much because of how pretty they were. And prepare 30 to 45-minute presentation of the strategy where you'll be presenting live for this assignment. Guys, it doesn't have to be, if you feel overwhelmed by 45 minutes, then present for half an hour. You don't have to present for 45 minutes. You guys will each have a 1-hour slot to do your presentations. Okay, so you'll have a full hour and I will ask you questions at the end. And Chris will probably also ask you questions if he is going to be involved with, and there's a good possibility that he will be. Okay, so so yes, and then remember they're going to be recorded because they're going to go to an external for moderation to check that the marks that were awarded were fair and that they were in line with the rubric which was created. Okay, so that is also your quality assurance there to make sure that it's fair and that, you know, it is at NQF level 8. So do your presentation, okay, and then you'll be asked questions about your strategy once you finish presenting it. So allow yourself that extra 15 minutes for that at the end of the presentation. And the one thing that I liked is, you know, we managed to, thanks to the help from Chris, we basically said, okay, guys, we have to start on the hour and finish on the hour. Okay, so that helped. That way we didn't end up spending, you know, too much time. And so that's good. So please make sure that you are wrapped up within 45 minutes maximum, so we can still ask you some questions at the end. But the idea is to start on the hour and end on the hour. Okay, your presentation should include in this order. So please, guys, this is really important. An account of what the company does. What does it offer in terms of products or services? Okay, and guys, what I would say here is, if you want to, it's not a requirement, okay, but you are welcome to color outside the lines. Remember everything we've done this year, okay? So think PESEL, Okay, think of what the company does, because I can tell you now that any company is basing what it does, the service that it offers, on PESEL. Okay, what are the political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental factors that affect the state of play of business? And how does the company respond to that by creating products or services or ideas that solve problems and meet the needs? Okay, so if you say LinkedIn is basically a professional Facebook, so you add job stuff and you know basically create like an online CV, and then you connect with people in the industry, and you can use that to, I mean, some companies now that you apply for, you know, whatever, they even say please show us your LinkedIn profile, you know, so that's so you can use it as, it's sort of, for me it is, how do you mix um you know your social media aspect with, you know, sort of your CV and your background, your history. Personally, I don't think it works at all. I barely go onto LinkedIn, very rarely. And they always send me, oh, you know, spend 9,000 Rand with us and we'll give you 9,000 Rand with advertising credits. I'm like, why on earth would I spend 9,000 Rand with LinkedIn? Are you mad? And why would I want 9,000 Rand with advertising credits for what? You know, and people sometimes like, oh, hey, Rob, wants to chat with you. Please, can you get back to me? And, you know, when I finally get back to the message, like a year later, I'm like, okay, that opportunity's passed. But mostly it's because they were trying to sell me stuff. You know, so personally for me, these are things you would need to have a look and say, okay, so what is LinkedIn's actual purpose? Okay, and then the second thing, which is what I've already discussed with you guys, 2, an outline of the struggle that the company is experiencing. In other words, what is the nature of the problem or problems that is or are being experienced in 2023? What has gone wrong? What is the company up against? Okay, so again, guys, thinking about LinkedIn, or we've spoken voluminously about Twitter, we've spoken about Netflix, we've spoken about mostly those. Facebook we've spoken about as well. Okay, some of the others I haven't spoken about a lot. If you guys want to tackle some of those, it could be very interesting. Okay, if we've seen, you know, 10 presentations and somebody comes along and presents something completely new like Coles or GameStop or Peloton or Everlywell or Lyft, okay, we haven't seen others, that'll be refreshing. But that's up to you guys. You probably have all, you should have started by now. If you haven't, please, I beg you, start today. Okay, because it's not a cakewalk, guys. It's, you know, it's a summative assessment. It needs to be an overview of everything I've done so far. Okay, and then number 3, your solution to the problem or problems defined in the previous step. The solution is in the form of your integrated media management strategy that, if adapted, would work towards addressing the challenges outlined in step 2. Guys, this is really, 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 really important. Okay, it must be something that's going to solve the problem with the company that's facing. So you can't just give me a list of, this is what the elements are of a marketing communications mix. Okay, and Kotler and Armstrong say that advertising is a paid message from an identified sender to an identified receiver, with feedback in the channel if the advertising has a call to action. That's fine. That's great. That's a fantastic definition you give me the academics. Where's the application to LinkedIn? Where's the application and how is your proposed strategy in terms of the medium that you suggest going to help them overcome the problem, which is what exactly? I mean, I had a client recently who started a social medium, South African social medium, and I said to him, okay, well, how? So we had a long chat. I said, first of all, the problem is that you have a strange website name. Okay, it's got a spelling mistake in it for all intents and purposes, and it's got 0. You know, there's nothing. If I do a Google search, an SEO of your, so he asked me to help him with strategy and content. So I said, well, the first thing you need to do is seriously boost your SEO. And SEO being search engine optimization. If I type in the name of your company, nothing comes up. On the first 10 pages of Google, there is nothing. Absolutely no information whatsoever. That's the first thing. The second thing is you have a spelling mistake in your website name, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, because they were spelling it Connex, as in like cool, Connex. I said, that sounds like Connex to me, not Connex. Connex would be Connex. They didn't want to change it. I said, but it's Connex. Conn, because we don't say Connex. I don't say I need to connect with you on the internet. It's connect. So it has to be a double N. Didn't want to change that. Okay, cool. I said, now, what is the difference between your social medium, which is based in South Africa, although you're trying to also attract an American market, and other social media that I don't want to use anyway because I'm so tired of using them, like Facebook, and you have no clout compared to Facebook or LinkedIn. So the wonderful client said to me, and a very nice client. Unfortunately, you know, a lot of clients don't listen. So there's not much you can do if they don't want to listen, which is fine. I understand it's your business, it's your money. I can't dictate to you. I just have to, you know. Anyway, so he said, no, we offer an integration with a calendar. You can plonk your calendar in and organize meetings, you know, using the social media. I'm like, okay, I don't never use a calendar. If I need a calendar, I'll either input the information into the calendar myself, my Google Calendar, or I'll write it down in a book and say, I have a meeting with person X, and I say, well, Rob, that's because you're Gen X. Okay, cool. But that's not enough for me to convince me to go through the schlep of uploading all my biographical information onto your new social medium. So what else do you do? No, we offer directly, you can pay directly into your PayPal account. So if people want to, I'm like, okay, and they just weren't great selling points. I'm like, I don't think this is enough to convince people to go and join your social medium. I don't see something that's so innovative and so disruptive in nature that people are going to flock there, like ChatGPT, and all of a sudden after a month you're going to have 1 million viewers and 1 million people wanting to sign up with your thing. No, that's what I have to offer. So I said, okay. So I created content around it, passed content onto clients. Client was happy with content. Client uploaded content. On the YouTube channel, there's been like 10 views. Okay. And then it's like very little sign up. I'm like, you need a stronger selling point. I need a stronger reason to want to go through the hassle and the schlep. And guys, there are lots the last 15, 20 years, because Facebook will be turning 20 next year. YouTube is turning 20 in 2006, 2005 technically, so 2025. The last 20 years, the digital landscape is littered with the carcasses and corpses of social media that didn't work. I know there's one at the one stage called Second Skin, where you can create your own social medium, or you know, whatever. Lots. There are loads. And the very first one, Tom from MySpace, okay, and that was sort of early 2000s, is still around, but I haven't been onto my MySpace profile in probably 10 years. Okay, so it's a really difficult thing to do. And the thing is, it also takes a huge amount of time. So I said, do you have the time to throw, you know, everything? And this is just a side project for him. Anyway, so it's not going well, you know, from my perspective, but these are the things. So and then I said, okay, this is what you need to do. So you have to put together a strategy which is really going to help the company to turn around. Okay, so here are the compulsory inclusions for this assignment. The brand you choose must be one that's experiencing challenges. Number 2, you must use at least 5 academic sources, whether textbooks or online journal articles from Google Scholar. So guys, please note, Google Scholar is really important. It must not be, okay, and then overall you must use, it must be Google Scholar articles, or if you have access via another institution to, you know, scholarly journal articles, you can use those. For example, if I were doing this assignment, I can access those things through UNISA. Okay, but or maybe you know somebody at UJ who can assist you with that. Okay, or WITS or whatever, you know, one of the other places. Okay, or overall, you must use a minimum of 10 sources. That is at least 5 that are academic, textbook and or online journal articles, as well as business and popular sources that have the information in them that you need to do this task. Guys, please also use popular sources. Okay, you can't possibly contextualize this assignment without popular sources. You must have popular sources. They're extremely important. Okay, sorry, somebody I think is logging on. I think, okay, so cool. All right, so please use your popular sources. Okay, guys, I see there's a very big turnout now. So I'm just going to make the announcement again. There are 12 people in class. Okay, guys, please do the survey for Chris. I sent you the link yesterday. It's a review and overview of the class. Okay, so please do the survey if you haven't done it yet. Okay, please do the survey. It is an overview and feedback and evaluation of the IMM4 class. You will see, I sent you the link yesterday on the WhatsApp group. I can also see, maybe I can quickly find it and just dump it into the chat box here if you guys want to. So please do the survey for Chris. Chris has asked you, and guys, Chris has really done a lot for the students. So please do Chris's favor and please organize for him and do the survey. I'm going to find the link for you quickly and stick it into the chat box as well so you can do it, because Chris, you know, they need to evaluate the class so we can see what the feedback is and then make adjustments if need be in terms of you know, what needs to be adjusted, whatever that may be. Okay, so I'm going to quickly cut the link and I'm just going to stick it into the chat box. And guys, please do the survey for Chris. You know, it really helps. It helps him to, you know, he's got a lot on his plate as the academic manager. He's got to, you know, evaluate all the students, all the courses and the lecturers, and look at the feedback and that kind of thing. So please do the survey for him. It'll really help and make his job easier. Okay, so I'm going to quickly dump it into the chat box here. I hope it works. Why isn't it working? Oh, maybe I didn't do it. Okay, hang on for me a sec. Maybe I didn't copy it properly. Hang on for me. Okay, it's a hell of a long. I hope it works. Let me just see here. I'm going to hit the enter button. And I hope it works. Okay, there's some. Okay. Okay, hope it works. My computer's a bit slow. Okay. Okay, I did do it. It doesn't seem to have taken. Let me try again. Please check the chat. Oh, there we go. There, guys, it's showing up in the chat. So please have a look at that long link. Please click on it, and then you can do the survey, and that will really help Chris. Okay, to do an evaluation of the course and the content and the assessments and the lecturing and so on and so forth. Okay, so please do that for Chris. That will really help. Thank you so much. Cool. Okay, so back to the thing that we were busy talking about. Okay, so your S1. So, yes, okay, S1. So guys, please, you must include business sources. You can't not do business sources. So really important. You must also do businesses. Because in order to, because remember, this is a business subject. It's not all academic. Yes, it is important to be academic. I absolutely require your academic sources as well, but you must also be able to, because, you know, if you wanted to be completely academic and theoretical, you could go to, you know, another university, but we like to create graduates at Boston who are industry ready. That's important. Okay, so please include those sources. Okay, all sources must be included as in-text references in the assignment and must be included in the list of sources at the end of the presentation. Guys, please as well. There were lots of times, and then that also, you know, it takes away from the robustness of your presentation. You use the sources in your presentation, but didn't list them at the end in your source list, which means that technically speaking, from an academic perspective, that source is not being referenced. Okay, so you have not referenced that source. You may have spoken about it in your assignment, but you haven't referenced it at the end, which means that technically actually it's plagiarism. So please make sure, go back. I've done it myself. I submitted an assignment 2 days ago, quickly looked over again and realized that I had submitted an assignment without referencing two of the sources that I used. Okay, I'm like, oh, that's going to be bad. I'm going to get marks deducted for that. Okay, so please, guys, please make sure, because if you don't reference at the end, technically it's plagiarism, and then you actually haven't referenced the source. Okay, so please be very aware of that. Okay, you need to present your assignment as a PowerPoint presentation or another application, but it has to be presented online in PDF, simply because that's the easiest, guys. If we've got too many moving parts, okay, you saw Ntabi sayings, which is great. Okay, but obviously that's paid for thingy. It doesn't need to have, and you also saw you know, Dennis used a PowerPoint, and it was great. So you can use PowerPoint. You don't have to use Canva. Okay, but some of you guys, your Canva presentations were beautiful. Loved them. They were so nice. Okay, once you finish your presentation, you'll be asked additional questions about your proposed strategy. Okay, so guys, please note the plagiarism. This is an individual assignment. If you copy each other's work, and guys, this is the end. If these two are your last subjects, if you're doing IMM4, and you're doing your research project, okay, it's finished. After this, you're finished. Your university thingy, unless you decide you want to carry on and do masters, okay, your university career is finished after this. You finish your exams, you pass, you next year are going to work or take a gap year or go to London or whatever you want to do. Okay, but this is it. So please do it properly, because that you don't have to be saddled with a supplementary or a repeats or whatever it is. Please do it properly. Do yourselves a favor. Do it for you, not for anybody else. Do it for you, okay? And do it properly. There's a lot of satisfaction in presenting a really good assignment, okay, that you can be proud of. And you will know in your heart of hearts if you did a good job or if it was rubbish. I mean, I can honestly say lots of the times I submit rubbish assignments because I ran out of time, okay, and they're not up to scratch. And my marks reflect that. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not surprised I only got 65 because it wasn't a great assignment. You know what I mean? So I'm not surprised I only got 70 because it's not a great assignment. So for me, I'm not saying for you guys, that's for me. 65 is an excellent mark. Okay, there's nothing wrong with 65. It's fantastic, but just, for me, I'm always looking for, really good marks, and I don't always have the time to handle the assignments that I want to, but please do it for you guys. Okay, let me shut up and move on. I know I'm very loquacious and verbose today. If your copy works, the Copy Leaks database will be able to pick this up. The same is true for use of AI or for putting the work together. ChatGPT draws on databases to generate responses to prompts, and so the Copy Leaks similarity detector will flag submissions that have used AI as plagiarism. AI responses are also typically devoid of references and engagement with sources. So if you engage in this behavior, it will be apparent. Also, AI usually changes the context and the tone of the language that you use. Okay, so guys, be warned. Okay, notice on attendance, I see class attendance has improved. Thank you for coming to class, guys. That's a wonderful thing. I love good class attendance because you learn more in class. Okay, good learning outcomes. Okay, so guys, very briefly, you need to be able to have an understanding of integrated media management principles and theories, demonstrating that you can engage effectively with sources as part of developing and presenting an integrated media management strategy, applying the marketing communications mix as part of an overall strategy for integrated media management, clearly and effectively communicating the strategic line of argument as justified by relevant sources. Guys, that's really, really big. That's important. Chris and I have discussed it quite a bit. Okay, one of the things of it, it's not just a regurgitation of academic sources. It's not just a regurgitation of business sources. We want to see your strategic thinking. We want to know that if you go into industry next year, as I've said to you guys previously, and I'll keep saying to you, if you go into industry next year, okay, and somebody says to you, help, I know nothing, start at A, start at the beginning, you can take them through the entire process, okay, and they will pay you a salary for that. Okay, cool. So important, strategic line of argument, and this assignment is very important. It must solve the problem. Okay, it must be, and guys, please be specific, okay? Be specific and make it specific to the brand. To say to me, oh, I'm going to put an advert on a billboard on the N1 highway, on, there at Buccleuch interchange, so it's got zillions of cars going past it. Fine, what is it going to say? What is it going to do? What are you hoping to achieve with the advert? What's the purpose of the advert? Okay, what are you hoping to, is there a call to action? What would the advert, I'm not saying you have to draw an advert. Okay, if you want to, you can. Okay, but what is it going to say? It can't just be, I'm going to do an advert on that means nothing, because you could do that for any brand. What is it specifically going to mean for LinkedIn? Okay, how are you going to, so here's as an example. Spruce up your LinkedIn profile and win a trip for 2 to New York. Okay, there we go. And then whatever, maybe there's I don't know if you can scan a QR code from a billboard. I don't think so. Okay, but whatever it is. So I don't know. I'm not sure what you could do, but do a poster with a QR code. So do posters throughout, stick posters up in wherever, whatever it is, so you guys propose a strategy, but make it relevant. Okay, so you and make it specific so that we can see that it's not just a generic thing that can be applied to any brand. Okay. Next, using relevant sources, plan and propose workable ideas for strategic brand management. write English as in a grammatically correct manner, as well as understand the language from both a conceptual and contextual framework. And guys, please try to use British English. I know sometimes I also, when I'm doing my slides, and then I don't go back and check them and then all convert them to American English, and I get very annoyed because I feel like a hypocrite. Okay, please try and use British English, organization with an S, not a Z. Harbour with a U, not just without, just with an O. It's O-U, not just O. Okay, try to. Okay, and then yes, so use your British spelling conventions, and then please adhere to academic referencing Harvard method. Okay, so guys, this is really important as well. Your presentation must include the following steps. Number one, understanding the brand. So research and report back on the audience, the vision, the mission, the brand values. So it's a slide that indicates these. Remember to include in-text references for the sources where you find information. Do not just go to general knowledge here. Very important. So guys, you can see as well, think PESTLE. And some of you guys, most of you did very good. You did very well on this in your F3 assignment. Okay, most of you guys did very well. I loved the graphs, you know, where you broke down the demographics and, you know, the mention of, you know, which group of people in terms of age or gender or income or geography, whatever it was. Those were all very, very good. So continue along those lines, find those kinds of things. Give me background, give me some personal information. What is the issue at this point in time with a thing like LinkedIn? Are we all just tired of social media? Are we all just TikTok crazy? Okay, we all just like TikTok and everything else has fallen by the wayside. I don't know. I don't have time to go into LinkedIn personally. I don't see any benefit of it. I occasionally do updates on it, very occasionally, but I have so few people who pay attention to my LinkedIn profile, and so few people. So I, like I said, you know, I focus more on one social media because I'd rather do that one well. Okay, so then step 2, a detailed outline of a major challenge facing the brand in 2023, including what the challenge is, why it is happening, i.e. the causes or reasons for it, and the particular effects of the challenge on the brand. Is it reputational damage? Is profitability down? Do you see a drop in subscriber numbers, etc., etc., etc.? So guys, we've discussed all of these, okay? And what I would say is, just as an overview, we've spoken about it. Twitter/X, for me, it's very much in transition. Elon Musk is the big problem there because he wants to try and make it a profitable enterprise. I think he's done major damage to the brand by trying to change the brand name to X. That for me is the big issue, but also then, you know, wanting to monetize it, it's a money loss making thing. It doesn't make any money. Okay, that's the big thing. Netflix is post-pandemic. People don't want to be stuck behind their TVs all day or their devices. They want to get out and about. So Netflix is lots of subscriber base. Okay, and also lots of competition from other. But obviously, you need to go into some more detail. Okay, so what is the challenge? Why is it happening? Well, like I said to you, okay, post-pandemic, people want to get out. Why is it happening? Lots of competition. And I don't think Netflix, we discussed Netflix last week in class, and I said to you guys, I wouldn't work for the company based on their slide deck, as they call it, those slides about company values and company culture. And then as I said to you, that the ex-CEO of Facebook, Sheryl Sandberg, said it was the most important document to ever come out of Silicon Valley. I don't know why. Maybe I just don't fit into Silicon Valley's, corporate culture. But and I don't know that Netflix does it any better than Disney. For me personally, some of the content on Showmax is really, really good, and some of the content on Disney. So I'm looking for movies that I haven't been able to find. Disney is probably the best one, but it's also the most expensive. Okay, so Disney is 139 Rand a month these days. It's very expensive. Okay, something to be axed possibly in the future if it keeps going up. Showmax is the cheapest, 39 bucks a month, which is cheap, super cheap. Netflix is 49 bucks a month, you know, on devices, but only one person can watch. Okay, so if you have thingies, so that's also consideration price, but you can't always win on price. Okay, so remember that for the F3, this is just a quick note. For this S1, the step is basically the foundation for the presentation, since the task here is to propose a strategy that will likely solve the brand's problem. So for this step for the S1, we need more detail, much more detail. You only need to outline one challenge faced by the brand, but you need to contextualize that challenge. Okay, that is to say what has caused it, so the root of the problem, and what negative effects are being experienced by the brand as a result of it. Also, The steps to follow regarding the strategy will be measured against the extent to which your ideas would actually solve the problems outlined in the step. Okay, so the marking rubric provides further clarity on how to go about this and what is required. So guys, please make sure that whatever problem you identify, you can find a workable solution to. Okay, and like it says over here in the marking rubric, it could be as simple as Netflix has lost subscribers. How are you going to get subscribers to come back? Okay, so here's a proposed strategy and it will work. As you know, Netflix has said we don't want people sharing codes with each other. So we've clamped down on that because if I give you my Netflix login details, you can share my thing. They've now clamped down on that. So that's caused a thing that's also the American economy had the wobbles at the beginning of the Russia-Ukrainian conflict or the war. It's now sort of stabilizing again because America's economy always comes right. There's a bit of a bubble with property, so that could soon crash. Okay. Africa, a lot of Africa, most of Africa is in trouble because of the huge increase in cost of living. The Americans also battling with that. Okay, but so are people not subscribing to Netflix because they can't afford it, because it's a luxury, because it's probably only, I don't know, $20 a month, and you know, I don't know how much it is. It's probably way cheaper here. Okay, because it's only 50 Rand a month if you just use it on devices and you don't have a big, you know, smart TV, excuse me. So if that's what you're focusing on, lots of subscriptions, why are people not subscribing to Netflix? Is it because of lots of competition from fellow, you know, providers like Disney, etc., or is it literally, is it because of the fact that people can't afford it? Okay, and how are you going to, if that is what you identify, how are you going to change that? How are you going to get people to afford it? So one thing that they proposed is bring in advertising. So lower the rates, and I don't know if this is going to work for them. You lower the subscription fees and then you bring in adverts. So I'm busy watching an episode of what's on Netflix? Okay, yeah. Okay, I'm busy watching Schitt's Creek because I'm actually busy rewatching it and it's on Netflix. Okay, so we're busy rewatching that because it's quite fun. Okay, so I'm busy watching Schitt's Creek, and suddenly halfway through the episode, when Alexis and what's his name, Ted, are busy snogging, okay, suddenly an advert comes up for Dove, you know, cream bar. I'm like, oh, this is so annoying. Okay, but now I'm paying less subscription, but now I've got an advert that's affecting the whole thing. Is that what I want? Okay, because I know I can go into YouTube Premium where I'm not going to see the adverts at the beginning, but remember, adverts fund the channel. So think about that. Is that what you're going to do? They're going to overcome it. And then how are you going to let people know that? Okay, so are you going to create okay, so get 2 months of Netflix free. Big billboard on the M1 or the N1 or the N3 or the N12 or the N14 or the N17 in Joburg or wherever, okay? And 2 months of Netflix free. And then, of course, the bottom T's and C's apply. Okay, so whatever it is. 2 months free. I mean, you can already do, if you think, I think they have a 7-day free trial subscription that you can do. So watch 7 days with the TV, then you unsubscribe. Okay, so you need to be able to propose. And remember, guys, so this is very strategic. You also have to do a bit of a thinking about what strategy that you're going to have, which requires you to go beyond media. And then you need to articulate that strategy in terms of how you're going to communicate that strategy through media, because this is a media class. Okay, so how are you going to use media, whatever media they may be, in terms of the context of the 5 elements of the marketing communications mix, to articulate and convince people of a strategy. And guys, I would advise you to keep it simple. Okay, complicated messages and complicated strategies get lost in the fray. Okay, so keep it simple. Okay, step 3, and this is the next step. So guys, you can see step 1 is important, but it's really just background. Step 2 is really important. Step 3 is really, really important as well. Okay, so step 3, be specific about the execution of your strategy by providing your ideas for the advertising, PR/publicity, personal sales, direct marketing, and sales promotion that will be part of addressing the challenge outlined in step 2. And in all the interactions I've had with you guys, okay, you are worthy of 4th year BBA. You are smart. You guys have some great ideas. I know that it's tough and challenging because you've got so much on your plates, okay? But it doesn't always come together as it should when you do your presentations. And that's why I urge you, please, guys, you have to put the time in. You have to put in the hours. If you don't put in the hours, you're going to present something that's not worthy of your intelligence and of your creativity. So I beg you, please start your assignments today if you haven't started them yet. But otherwise, you're going to come a cropper, and that's definitely not going to be good for you. Okay. Okay, so remember that for your F3, you were just designing an integrated media management campaign, whereas for this S1, it is less about a campaign and more about ideas for how to run the advertising, PR, personal sales, direct marketing, and sales promotion in ways that will help to address the challenge outlined in step 2. You should state your ideas for each of the 5 elements and then also note how those ideas will address the challenge outlined in step 2. There should be an if ... then formulation, as if in the as in if the brand were to do X, then challenge Y would be alleviated or minimized in ABC ways. This will keep you focused, okay, on addressing the challenge faced by the brand and prevent you from losing focus on it and just listing random ideas. Guys, I'm not going to go through the marking rubric with you again. Okay, so we've been through it, but the marking rubric will be used to mark your assignments. Okay, please, 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 please read this rubric again, or this brief again and again and again and again and again until you know for sure that you have thoroughly answered all the questions and you have done everything that is required, both in terms of the brief and in terms of the marking rubric. Okay, cool. So that addresses that over there. We're now going to launch into the Google thing, which is going to be very video heavy. We're going to take a break, guys, in a half an hour at 2:30 until 3 o'clock, and then we'll continue with class from 3 o'clock until 4:30. But anyway, there we go. So now you guys have the brief again. If you have any questions, you're welcome to WhatsApp me. Let me see if there are any WhatsApp messages. Maybe my phone, my thingy's been having problems again. Let's see. No messages from you guys. Okay, cool. All right. So if you have any problems, you are most welcome, okay, to discuss them with me via WhatsApp, via email. Please use my Gmail account. I very seldom go into my Boston one. Please use my Gmail account, which you guys should all have. Okay, it's in the student outlines, which are uploaded onto Cole Campus every week. Okay, so it's there, but it's robbietom@gmail.com if you guys need my assistance. You're welcome to send me a private WhatsApp voice note. Or you're welcome to raise your hand in class and address any issues you have, or you're welcome to stay after class and I can have a chat with you. Okay, so if you have any problems. Okay, cool. Guys, that's that. I'm going to stop sharing this. Are there any questions about the S1 brief? Are there any questions? Are there any concerns? Are there any quash? Is there anything? Anything? Guys, you're welcome to chat with me, okay? And I think as well, you know, you can see what we looked at some student presentations in class, and you can see those were, let's call them best practice presentations. If you are putting together something similar to that, you are definitely going to be flying. Okay, so you can see it's a lot of hard work. Okay, and each one of you is more than capable, more than capable. You guys are very smart. Okay, so that would be cool. Okay, cool, great, guys. I'm now going to share with you my screen for today's lecture. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. Oops, sorry, I've opened up next week's lecture. My apologies. Give me a sec. Okay, I'm going to share my screen with you again. I'm going to go through. This is a very video heavy lecture, guys. So I hope that my thing's not going to give you trouble. My connection, but it might. Please let me know if it does. Okay, there we go. All right, so second last week, I'd be happy to know that next week's your last set of lectures. This is kind of workshop-y. So I'll be asking you some questions and that kind of thing. We really looked at some questions, which is great. Okay, and before we start, I've been talking for a long time now. We've got lots of students in class. Let me ask you another question. What do you guys think of Google? How do you guys perceive Google? So, you know, Google's just turned 25. Now, I had a friend, sadly, because I'm a lousy friend, we're no longer friends, just because I was never in contact with him. Very nice chap, smart guy, very smart guy, who got me interested in Google in 1998 already, when some of you guys were barely twinkles in your parents' eyes. He told me about Google because he's in the IT industry, and he was always a very forward thinker, and he first told me about Google in 1998. I mean, those days, you know, it was early days of the internet still. You had dial-up connections which were really slow or it was horrendous. There was no such thing as a smartphone. I really am dating myself here. Okay. Yes, it was very, very, very antiquated compared to today. Okay, no such thing as, you know, Google search on your phone, etc. But I want to ask you guys, what do you guys think of Google? Do you like the direction that it's taking? We're going to discuss it in a lot of detail today. It might spill over to next week. Okay. How often do you use it? Do you use any other search engines? Do you use Microsoft Edge? So what I do is I split mine. I use Microsoft Edge. And I'm actually on Microsoft Edge at the moment when I run my programs through Microsoft Edge, just because I don't want to be completely dependent on Google, because I always like supporting the underdog. Not that I'm saying Microsoft Edge is, because obviously Microsoft's not really an underdog compared to Google, but also Microsoft Edge has ChatGPT enabled with Bing as a search function. So I just like to split the difference. I use them both. I use Google Chrome and I use Edge. But on my phones, because my phone is Android, I use Google Chrome or use Google Search, you know, on my phone. But what do you guys think of Google? Do you guys like it? Do you use any others? Do you use, you know, what's it called, Internet Explorer? And then you can still obviously go to Google search engine. Okay, because you know, Google Chrome is just the internet browser. Do you still only go to Google when you do searches? Do you type in Google? Do you go to Wikipedia to do searches? Because Wikipedia is not really a search engine. Also, that's got fantastic information. A lot of it is not academic. There are lots of mistakes on it. I've even uploaded some information to Wikipedia which is out of date, so I know it's out of date. And there are lots of errors on it, but you know, sometimes it can give you clues. What do you guys think? Dennis, Beverly Lindiwe, Vuyo, Onelena, Michelle, Notando, Tumi. Welcome, Tumi. It's so nice to have you in class.
Hi, Rob. Hi, everyone.
Hi. Nice to see you today. That's so cool. That's so cool. Okay, what do you guys think? And then Dee Dee is here. And let me see who else is in the class. Who else is here? Okay, then there's also Dennis. Okay, who's here? Chris is not on. Okay, and then also Matsitiso is here. Okay, cool. So guys, what do you think? Do you like Google? Does it work for you as a search engine? Do you enjoy using it? What don't you like about Google? Is there anything? I mean, if you guys watch an old movie, and whilst you're thinking, I'll give you guys, if you please feel free to put up your hand, or you can just interrupt me. If you watch a movie, it's an old movie, I think it's 2002, 2001, maybe even 2000, called Frequency. Really fun movie. Jim Caviezel, Dennis Quaid, about a guy who's able to communicate with his dead father from 30 years ago. My online presence is entirely dependent on Google. Thank you, Notando. Appreciate your your contribution. It's always nice when students contribute. Let's have a look. I'm going to open up the chat so I can see it. My online presence is entirely dependent on Google. My apps are from the Play Store. Cool. YouTube is my entertainment. I use Google search for everything, etc. Cool. Okay, Notando, so you're definitely a Google fan. Okay, cool. Very good to know. Would you say that you're brand loyal to Google? Notando, what do you think? Are you brand loyal to Google? In inverted commas, what would you say? You'd say so. Cool. Thank you, Notondo. I appreciate your contribution. Thanks, guys. If you want to also say something in the chat box, like Notondo, that's very helpful and very useful. Okay, so cool. Okay, so I must agree with you. I feel very strongly to you, Notondo. For me, Google remains the preeminent search engine. That's why for me, it's not about brand loyalty, it's about brand preference or brand insistence. I don't know of any search engine that does as thorough a search as Google. I use Microsoft Edge just to play off the difference. But if I'm looking for something, I will often switch over to Chrome just to ensure that I'm, look, and then I'll do a Chrome search on Chrome using Google engine to make sure that I'm getting the best. Because also what you can do is, when you type it into, your URL box, instead of typing into the search function, obviously if you're on Edge, it'll search you through Bing. If you're on Chrome, it'll search you through Google. So that's the whole thing. So I use but I use Google a lot. I also agree with you. I love YouTube. It is also my source for entertainment a lot. Okay, and Google search for everything. I don't use Google Chat very much. I mean, there's some of the applications that didn't work. Everything I do and use revolves around Google. Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate your contribution. That's awesome. Okay, so everything you do and use revolves around Google. Cool. I must be honest with you guys. I feel the same way, and they know it. That's why Larry Page and Sergey Brin are billionaires, because they know it, and they're not arrogant about it. They seem to be, sort of quite down to earth people. Okay, but it's even the name is so interesting. Google, Googol. It's actually like it's some mathematical number, like 10 with like 43, 8 with 43 tens by whatever. I don't know, some mathematical thing. So the name is actually a spelling mistake. Okay, and if you have a look at it, I mean, so much that we do is around it, and it's become so integrated into other things. So I know people are now saying, oh, ChatGPT is going to take Google down because of the whole thing. Google's already got a response to that over there. So they are at the forefront of their thinking, around, and so yes, for me, it's just because there aren't any better options. Okay, cool. So I think you basically answered the question. Thank you. You guys all like it. You think it's good. Very good. I'm going to close the chat box again. I'm going to get back to the slides. Okay, so guys, this is about culture at Google. Like I said, we're going to be watching lots and lots and lots of videos today. I hope they all play and work. Okay, so watch the articles, the videos about Google, and read the articles. And then we're going to discuss the following points. What is the corporate culture at Google? What role does creativity play at Google? Discuss the professional cultures at Google. And does Google have a pro-digital culture? We're going to explain it. And guys, maybe when you guys are looking at Netflix or at Twitter or at or X or at Facebook or at LinkedIn or at Kohl's or whatever it is, you're going to say the problem is the culture. That is the problem. The problem is the culture at this organization. That's why this organization's in trouble in 2023. And then specify, and remember, bring in your information from Kung. Okay, because Kung, obviously the stuff that we base the course on Kung, not only on Kung, also on Dues, but a lot of it comes from Kung. So refer to Kung, okay, and have a look at what Kung says about corporate culture and creativity and how those affect it. Is the problem at LinkedIn a lack of creativity? Is the problem at LinkedIn a lack of, I don't know. I honestly don't know. The thing is, but again, as well, none of you guys said to me, oh, you jump out of bed every morning and go to LinkedIn. All of you jump out of bed in the morning and go to YouTube. Well, maybe not jump out of bed, but all you go to Google. Okay, so that's the difference. And Microsoft knows it. Okay, that's why they wanted to jump on board, because, yeah, they sort of like each other but hate each other. This whole thing. So Apple, Steve Jobs and, Bill Gates, and then of course Larry Page and Sergey Brin, and there's Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, because is Amazon media? Is Amazon a medium? Okay, never used to be. It was just an online selling tool, but of course now you have Audible, and I use Audible quite a lot because I don't always like to read the book. I like to listen to the book. Okay, and I don't like Audible. It's expensive, but that's the only thing that you can use to listen to the book. Okay, and then Amazon Prime, which I don't use because I don't need another, entertainment streaming service, because we're really on 3. I mean, also BritBox. BritBox got I love Mrs. Bucket. She's hysterical to watch, but I just haven't got time to go into BritBox. It's just too much because I've got other stuff to do, and I don't want to become a complete couch potato because, I'm busy. I'm very busy, and life is about more than just watching good series on TV, you know. So there we go. Okay, so guys, think about that. Okay, so what's it like to work at Google? So this is the video over here. Okay, so guys, like I said, this is a lot of video heavy stuff. Please pay attention, and I hope that it works. I'm going to pay attention. If there's a problem you can't hear, you can't see, please let me know. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to check my WhatsApp messages or look at messages on the chat group to see if there is a problem with what you can see and hear. Okay, but I'm going to stop sharing the screen then for now. And I'm going to switch over to the video screen. So hang on for me a sec. Okay, it's just taking a while to buffer. Hope it's going to work. Ugh, it's just buffering very, very slow. Guys, sorry about that. I see my connection was giving me trouble. I'm going to switch over to a document. So we'll kind of have to come back to videos. I don't know if they're going to work today. I hope they do. But you can see we're going to look at what's it like to work at Google. And so what's it like to work at Google? Oh, I'm not showing my screen anymore. Hang on for me a sec. I'll show you guys now. Sorry. Okay, so you can see we're going to look at what's it like to work at Google down here. Just try and get rid of the, I think it was, okay. Okay, what's it like to work at Google? Over here on the left-hand side, I don't know where the pointer is. Just find the pointer. And then inside Google's massive headquarters. Then how do we hire at Google? This is quite interesting as well, how we hire at Google. And what's very interesting, guys, is, for example, they say, which is good to know, a degree is not a guarantee that you'll get a job at Google. They don't necessarily hire because you've got a degree. Sometimes they don't. They'll hire you without the degree. It depends on the job. Okay, but in some cases they're not looking for. Even Elon Musk has said, "I don't care about your MBA. Can you do the job?" Okay, so what's it like to work at Google in Europe and the Middle East? This is the other one. So Googlers share their relocation stories. We're going to have a look at this. as well if I can get the videos to play. But let's have a look at some articles. Okay, so an inside look at Google's best employee perks. Let's start this one, and hopefully the article will load so that we can look at the article and discuss that in the interim. I was trying to see if the videos will work. Should be loading now. Hopefully it loads. But whilst we're waiting, let's chat some more. How are you guys feeling? Oh, it's loading. Let me just have a look. Okay, cool. Look, it's loaded. Can you guys all see the screen? No, if you can see the screen. Please either send me a thumbs up or something. I'm just going to look on. Just give me a thumbs up, please, or say yes, or so I know that it's working, or send me a note in the chat box, please. Thumbs up. Okay, cool. Thank you, Tumi. So, guys, look inside Google's inside look at Google's best employee perks. Current and former employees. I think this article's it is not current. It's not like 400 years old, but it's not this year. And we do have some newer articles. We've got some older new articles, but anyway, so current and former employees. It's sound off on the most attractive benefits the tech giant has to offer. Google, you're facing people are welcome. Googlers at the Mountain View campus get a free ride to and from. The Tech Stop helps Googlers stay plugged in with 24/7 tech support, free massage credits, and the development of your career. New parents get the break they deserve. One man's wife actually cried when she heard how good Google's death benefits were. Employees get free fitness classes and gyms and are encouraged to participate in organized intramural sports. The 80-20 rule gives Googlers plenty of opportunity for creativity. Googlers are encouraged to read and keep on learning. There's a good risk-reward ratio. Google employees can get extended time off to follow their passions. Once you're a part of the Google network, you'll be part of it forever. Okay, so there we go. You can see over there. Okay, so this article, I think, is from last year. So it's possible that things have also changed again, but you can see a lot has changed at Google recently. Larry Page announced in August that the tech giant was splitting itself up and creating a new holding company, Alphabet. Like I said to you guys, I've got stocks, I bought shares in Alphabet. They do quite well. Okay, so it's just very expensive to buy them because they're in dollars, and you have to convert from rands, and the dollar here against the rand is very weak. Well, the other rand, the rand against the dollar here is very weak. So my friend calls them doll hairs. So yeah, anyway, so I sometimes call them doll hairs for fun. So because of the dollars, it's very expensive to buy, but I do invest in Google shares when I can, through Alphabet, and they're cool. Obviously, also that means YouTube. And since I use the brand, I like to invest in brands that I use because I know I can trust them. So there we go, guys. That's why I also have shares at ShopRite because we go to ShopRite a lot because it's cheap. Okay. Anyway, that separated newer Google's other business ventures, Calico, Nest, and Fiber, the investing arms, Google Ventures and Google Capital, and incubator projects such as Google X. Hardly heard of any of these, from core businesses like Search and Android. But after a brief moment of excitement at news of the shakeup broke, Google employees simply got back to work, seeming pleased with the direction their company was heading. Okay, so I also have another article, or it might be a video, which I watched, so I can share with you things that people don't like about Google. Okay, so it's not all moonshine and roses. They're saying things that they also don't like about Google, like, oh yeah, all the benefits are for a reason. We get the benefits for a reason, and trust me, they're not always benefits. Okay, so that was an eye-opener. Okay, so Google has always looked after its staff, providing workers with a lot of perks to make it worth their while to stay with the company. Some former Googlers and a few are still with the company have listed their favorite benefits on Quora, and others have submitted them on Glassdoor. The free gourmet food and snacks are never ending. Okay, so Google's employees, sorry, are extremely well fed, getting a healthy and varied breakfast, lunch, and even dinner if they stay late for free. There are also coffee and juice bars scattered throughout the campuses. The consensus that the convenience of having food provided cannot be overstated. One Googler commented that they love the food perk because it saves me time and money and helps me build relationships with my colleagues. Okay, but just to let you guys know, on this note over here, okay, dinner is only served from 6. Okay, so you can see if they stay late. Let me highlight for you over here. It says dinner, and even dinner if they stay late for free. Okay, so what they say is, okay, because you're offering me dinner, which is free, I'm going to stay late. So what I'm going to do between 5 and 6, I'm going to work. I'm going to sit at my desk working on Google. So you basically get an extra hour of work from me for a free meal. Okay, because what am I going to do between 5 and 6? Or maybe I can go to the gym. I'm going to be saying it's the colleague on the treadmill. And the guy and the colleague on the treadmill next to me is going to say, so how's it going with your new blah, 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 for Google? How's it going with your new tech interface for, you know, the new ChatGPT competitor? If you're standing to your boss on the Google treadmill. And then you're treadmilling away and saying, yeah, no, we're still about 2 weeks away. But he's like, well, can you do it within a week? Because, you know, I've got a deadline soon. Oh, yeah, sure. So you're on the treadmill, you know, waiting for your free dinner. And your boss just gave you a new deadline. So is that actually a benefit? Is that a perk? Okay, it's like, oh, gosh, actually, I should have stayed. I should have gone home early, you know. So there we go. So is it worth the free food? It might be. Is it worth it running the treadmill? Sure. Next time you see the boss and the boss is on the treadmill, go do some weights, you know, on the other side of the gym, and hopefully he doesn't see you. Okay, when he does, quickly run away to the showers. Okay, I don't know. Anyway, but that's what they said. They said, yeah, these are all traps to keep you at the office. So that's why we have them there, because you can do extra work. Okay, so working at Google, you're exposed to amazing people and great thinkers. This is the next thing. Well, Google said that the company is a great place to see, listen to, and meet with people who grew up reading about. Never in my life have I met so many people with a Wikipedia page that in just the last year, he wrote. Another Googler also said he had great things to say about his co-workers. We are surrounded by smart, driven people who provide the best environment for learning I've ever experienced. I don't mean through tech talks and formal training programs. I mean through working with awesome colleagues, even the non-famous ones. So guys, you can see if you have all these benefits, they get a big salary, plus you get all these other perks. They even say, listen, we know you have a side hustle because you have other projects that you're interested in. We'll give you time off to follow your side hustle and to focus on your side hustle. That attracts top talent. So people will come there and they'll go to want to work for Google and they want to stay at Google. Okay, because, but the other side of the thing is, you'll see there's a thingy later. Most employees only stay at Google for a year. So what's the downside? Why do they only stay there for a year? Because if you're attracting top talent that's distracted by, you know, other pursuits because they're all entrepreneurial and because they're all tech things, they will leave for other companies that offer them better perks and benefits, or offer them similar perks and benefits, but it's more in line with their vision. Okay, so all those guys, the guys who started Twitter, who started YouTube, who started Uber, who started probably even Bolt. I think Bolt's local, I'm not sure. Who started Airbnb, who started all these things that we, you know, look at and laud as, when I say laud, I mean LAUD, laud as innovative disruptions or disruptive innovations within industry. They were all started by people who used to work at Google and at Twitter and at X and at etc. I mean, so Elon Musk started PayPal. Okay, he was doing it, and of course, it sold, it conglomerated and merged with them. But he started PayPal. Okay, partly started PayPal, and he then moved on. And I mean, he didn't start Tesla. He's the CEO of Tesla, so he still reports to a board and still reports to shareholders. But they give him the freedom to do what he wants. Twitter is his own. He bought it with stock from Tesla, I think. Okay, so he's stock options. So he owns it. Technically, he's owner. But technically, you know, I mean, if Tesla was doing badly, and there were times I've seen some videos where he said, oh, you know, the drive-free function is going to be functional within the next year. It wasn't. It took like 5 years. And there were issues where, you know, the drive-free function, I think it's even somebody got killed. You know, the Tesla automated driverless car came around the corner, didn't see the pedestrian, ran the pedestrian, killed the pedestrian. I think, I speak under correction. But, you know, so it's not been smooth sailing at all. You know, and so you can see, you know, it comes with its challenges. Apparently, the other thing they say is all the perks and benefits, there must be a price to pay. And the price to pay is lots and lots and lots and lots of pressure. Okay, so it's pressure. You might be pressure in a pleasant environment. You can have your gourmet meal while you're crying, you know, so you're crying because, you know, your software application doesn't work, but you're having, you know, lasagna for lunch, crying because your software application doesn't work, and your boss has given you, you know, an hour to fix it after you finish crying over your lasagna, but it's still lasagna. You know, so there we go. That's nice. Okay, so yeah. Okay, and you the guy down the road won a Nobel Prize last year, you know, and he's, you know, your work colleague, and he's friendly, you know, and you've, you know, had 5 minutes of coffee with him, and he's regaled you with, you know, his genius. But you know that comes with pressure because I need to, you know, keep up with him because he's delivering innovation that I need to. I don't even know where to begin, you know, those kind of things. So it's both, guys, you know. But okay, you can see. Okay, so I worked at several other .coms and I've never been more challenged and energized professionally than from my colleagues at Google. People are generally happy to work there. They come from diverse backgrounds and almost always have an interesting story to share. Besides being exposed to tech leaders, there are often talks with celebrities and other thought leaders. Okay, Googlers feel like they are really living in the future because Google is is one of the top technology companies in the world. It's no surprise that employees are at the forefront of technology. Googlers get to use the company's products to get work done and beta test products that haven't been released to the public yet. Chrome was my primary browser before it was even announced. I've used phones, tablets, and Chromebooks before they went on sale. It's fun. I get a sneak peek at the future, and even if I get good feedback, give good feedback, or even get more involved, I can shape it as well. What employee shares. Okay, dogs are welcome. Googlers are free to bring their pets to work. Former Googler describes how bringing his dog to work is so great. He says that it not only helped keep his energy up, but brought spontaneous joy to his co-workers and helped him meet people he probably would not have otherwise. Here's his whole answer. Though managing a dog between meetings can sometimes be challenging, having her with me meant that every few hours I needed to get outside and take a break, which helped me manage my energy. In addition, my dog brought a lot of spontaneous joy to my colleagues, who sometimes sought her out when needing a break from an arduous task. For everyone looking out your work window to see dogs chasing each other or running after tennis balls really warms the spirit. Eventually, my dog became far better known than I was, and she, oddly enough, ended up introducing me to a lot of people I wouldn't otherwise have met. The benefits of allowing dogs in the office far outweigh the costs, and the increase in job satisfaction for those who with dogs or who like dogs far outweighs the mild annoyance of those miserable individuals who sometimes make it through life unaffected by wagging tails and contagious enthusiasm. If there is an easy Google benefit almost anyone can replicate, bringing dogs into the workplace is it. Well, if you like dogs. What happens if you're a cat person and you can't take a cat to work because cats are very different? And do you want a smelly cat litter box down the road? Okay, so and some people are going to get annoyed. You know, what happens if your dog pees on the rug? You know, if your dog, you know, chews the, you know, the bouncy ball and pops it, you know, whatever it is. Okay, so guys, these are all very interesting. It is 2:30. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our break now. Okay, until 3 o'clock to give you guys time to use the bathroom, to have some coffee, to have a cigarette, to have something to snack on, to have a little nap, whatever you need. And then we'll see you guys back at 3 o'clock to continue. But I hope that you're enjoying the class today. It is your second last class. So you're only saddled with me for another 2 weeks, this week and next week. And then just have to live through the presentations. And then hopefully you are rid of me forever. Okay, so that's it. So hang in there, strong. And I'll see you guys back. Are there any questions before we go on our break? Any concerns, any queries, anything you'd like to add? Anything? Let's see if you have any messages for me on WhatsApp. Nothing on WhatsApp. Okay, cool. Anything? Nothing? All good? Any more? Sold. I'll see you guys at 15:02. Give you half an hour. 15:02, see you back in class. Thanks, guys. Bye.